Servus, Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Today I want to report to you about the ongoing efforts of the German regime to crack down on the German opposition, the only real opposition party in Germany, that is the AfD. As you know, or as I said in my previous videos, we have two very important state elections coming this Sunday, that is in Hesse and also in Bavaria. And in both states, the polls are looking really good for the AfD, I would say, considering that Hesse is a generally very left-leaning Western German state, and in Bavaria there are two more conservative options compared to the rest of our federation, that is the CSU and the Freien Wähler. The AfD is doing pretty well in the polls with around 15%. And of course, the entire party as well as the AfD federal leadership are campaigning in these two states in order to get the best result possible this Sunday. And of course, the political establishment is doing everything they can in order to make it hard or nearly impossible for the AfD to lead a normal political election campaign. I have told you before in a previous video that in Bavaria, in Augsburg I think it was, a AfD politician of Romanian descent was brutally beaten up when he was found out to be an AfD politician. He was just on the way home from a party. He was brutally beaten, and the mainstream media and the political establishment, they mocked him and said, oh, there was never an attack, he just fell down the stairs. Now it turns out that there are actually suspects and that they are investigated now, and there was in fact a beating. And of course, if you had seen his face after that, if you have seen the pictures, you know that he didn't fall down the stairs, of course. But now there are two more events or two more attacks on the AfD that I want to talk about today. And first, a disclaimer: we don't have all the facts, and that is not due to the case that there is something weird going on, but this is due to the fact that the establishment, which also means the state prosecutor's offices, which are politically directed, they are controlled by political parties, as well as law enforcement, they are also directly controlled by our political parties. They don't give the information. They classify this information and they hold back this information until after the election, or maybe indefinitely. So the problem is not that I cannot talk about this, it's just that normal people like me, who just have the newspaper and social media as sources of information, I don't have classified data like some intelligence officer is at my disposal, so I can only tell you what average people in Germany know. But I know German politics since the 1990s, and I have some larger memory span than young people these days, so I can add one and one together, and it's pretty obvious what's going on. So the first case is that Alice Weidel, one of the leaders of the AfD, who lives, by the way, with her life partner, a woman, yes, she is a lesbian, obviously, and their two children. She lives in Switzerland, and she was informed by Swiss law enforcement that there are plans, that there is an attempt on her life going on. She was made a target, and her family is no longer safe. And so law enforcement in Switzerland suggested to Alice Weidel that she takes her family out of her family home and goes to a safe location for the time being. She wanted to campaign in Germany, but instead she took them to Spain, to the island of Mallorca, in order to kind of hide there or to get out of harm's way, as she was instructed to do by Swiss authorities. Now, the German media turned that into, oh, she's on a vacation on the island of Mallorca, and the German law enforcement offices, they don't know anything about any attempts on her life. But all these articles somehow failed to inform the readers that the authorities in Switzerland, where Frau Weidel lives, that they did warn her, in fact, and they have knowledge of an ongoing plan to attack her and her family. And then the second thing is even more bizarre. So on Wednesday, Mr. Schropalla, the other leader of the AfD party, was campaigning in the Bavarian city of Ingolstadt. and there he collapsed shortly after taking some selfies with citizens there, and he had to be taken to a hospital. He showed symptoms of an anaphylactic shock, so being poisoned is an option here, and also a needle was found near that place where he collapsed. Then at the hospital, an injection site on his right shoulder, on the delta muscle, was found by the doctors. They haven't found any toxins yet in his bloodstream, but well, a more thorough investigation takes longer. And also we all know that some needles, like these combi injectors at the army, for example, they have really small needles, and you can inject them without a lot of resistance. And also some toxins are not easily found in the bloodstream, so they don't show up in a normal standard blood work. And some toxins are really hard to detect, and you can maybe possibly not find them at all, even if you look very thoroughly. But as you can imagine, what does the German media make out of this? Oh, that was probably a sting by a bee, or maybe there was nothing, or he's just weak, he didn't sleep well, or he just collapsed because he's sick or something. None of them really entertained the idea that there was actually an attempt on his life, even though in Hessen, for example, Antifa, they compiled an enemy list with explicit names and addresses of home addresses of AfD politicians in the context, of course, of taking them out, like the militant left did in the 70s, for example. But also law enforcement is really lax about this. They don't care about this, it seems. And the political establishment even mentioned several times that this is just a joke, and they don't believe that at all. Some politicians actually hinted at this is just some kind of theater play, some kind of fake show in order to squeeze out a couple more votes on Sunday. Of course, everyone knows that the story would be different if it had been a member of the Green Party, for example, who collapsed and then an injection site was found, or an injection wound was found on the right arm. Yeah, then we would have 3 months of headline news, and doors would be kicked in, and the entire country would be in a state of panic and alert. But when it is just an opposition politician from the AfD, then it's all fake, and don't worry, nothing happened, nothing to see here. So what do I think about all this? Well, to be quite honest, of course, I also don't know what the truth is. All I can say is that we have seen from past events that there are a lot of militants on the German left who think that it is their holy duty, they're really zealots, they think it's their duty to take out AfD politicians by all means necessary, and they feel justified to use even lethal force. A lot of these people are directly or indirectly funded by the political establishment, by the big political parties like the CDU, the CSU, the SPD, the Green Party, the FDP, and the Party Die Linke. These are the parties that fund Antifa, for example, and it is ultimately Antifa members who are carrying out these attacks, and there were a lot of very well documented attacks. Like in Leipzig, there is a group like that. They attacked people with hammers and broke their bones, even posing as officers of the law in order to get access to the houses and apartments of their victims. So there is well documented proof that there is a large, well-funded, well-organized group in Germany that is willing and even feels compelled, or feels it is their holy sacred duty to do that in the fight against the right. So there is a large group of thugs who are ready to carry out these orders, and we know now that the media will twist and spin every story to make the AfD even look as the perpetrator when they're actually the victim. Mr. Schopalla was even accused of trying to use this story in order to garner votes for the AfD. Absolutely insane when you consider that at that time he was at the hospital in an ICU bed. And also we have seen now that the political establishment, with not many exceptions, they were all either ignoring it, or they were laughing about it, or they were downplaying it. I think there was just one guy from the Green Party, Mr. Cem Özdemir, who said that he wishes Mr. Schopalla a speedy recovery and that this stuff shouldn't be taken lightly, and you shouldn't really joke about this affair. It's a serious affair, he said. And yeah, so I just want to add, just consider that as a politician, you are walking on a public event across the street. You are campaigning prior to the elections, for example, at your party's booth in a larger center of a town. And then someone casually just bumps into you, and then you notice that you're getting kind of woozy and you're feeling sick and you're falling to the ground. Haha, very funny, isn't it? And then just the fear, I mean, even if there is not a really bad poison or anything in there, just the idea that this needle could have been dipped or spiked with any kind of toxin or pathogen, and then of course you would need to go to a hospital and do all sorts of tests. Just imagine the psychology behind that when you know that somebody put something in your bloodstream but you don't know what it is. And yeah, so this is where we are in Germany in 2023, when this is apparently normal and the media and the big parties act as if this is completely normal. Well, I remember some Eastern European country being accused of these barbaric practices. I don't know. What was the name of that country again? Well, I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments section, or maybe I remember later. My memory is not so good today, apparently. All right, so this is where we are. I will let you know how the elections go on Sunday in both Hesse and Bavaria. And I don't really think that this is having too big of an impact. I really hope that Mr. Schopalla is recovering fully, of course, and also that Frau Weidel stays safe, she and her family, or she and her, life partner, let's just say, and their children. Maybe family is the wrong word here. Anyway, I think this story mostly hardens these fronts that we have already in Germany, but it doesn't really bring more people to one or the other side. It just reassures the people on the left that the AfDs are a bunch of clowns who always want to play the victim, and people who sympathize with the AfD, their voters, their belief, and so is mine also, of course, that the system is really using any tools at their disposal against the opposition in Germany. That feeling, that conviction will just be reinforced by this, I guess. I don't think it does a lot to swing voters, really. All right, that is just my take on the affair. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Servus, Kameraden.